Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to stop for a moment and think about a promise you made. Not a promise to someone else, though that matters, but a promise to yourself. That moment when you looked in the mirror and said, I will change, I will rise, I will not settle. Promises are powerful. They are not just words. They are commitments, contracts with your own potential. They are the bridge between who you are today and who you are meant to become. And every time you forget that promise, every time you let fear or doubt whisper in your ear, you step away from the life you promised yourself. But here's the truth: these promises are not about perfection. They are about persistence. It's not about never falling. It's about getting up every single time you fall. It's about choosing moment after moment to honor the commitment you made to yourself. Think about the last time you truly went after something with every ounce of your being. Maybe it was a goal, a dream, a relationship, a personal transformation. Remember how alive you felt? That fire is still inside you. It never left. But promises demand action. They demand courage. They demand that you move when you're scared, that you rise when you're tired, that you fight when the world tells you to quit. You made a promise, not a vague hope, not a wish that things would get better. A promise. That means it's time to take responsibility. That means no excuses. That means you step into your power and say, I will not let this promise die. I will live it. I will breathe it. I will make it real. And here's what most people don't understand. The universe doesn't reward talkers. It rewards doors. It doesn't care about the size of your dreams. It cares about the size of your actions. So if you made a promise, it's time to act. It's time to be relentless. It's time to embrace the struggle. Because struggle is the price of greatness. Struggle is the hammer that shapes the steel of your character. Struggle is proof that you are moving forward. So today I ask you, will you honor your promise? Will you look at the life you've been dreaming of and step fully into it, no matter what stands in your way? Will you rise every time fear tries to knock you down? And will you keep moving forward until your promise becomes reality? Because here's the beautiful truth. When you honor your promises, you unlock a power inside yourself that the world cannot stop. You become unstoppable. You become unshakable. You become someone who inspires others simply by being true to their word. You made a promise. Now it's time to live it. It's time to show the world and yourself that you are not defined by circumstance, not limited by fear, and not bound by the expectations of others. You are defined by your actions, by your courage, and by your unwavering commitment to keep your word to the person who matters most to you. So stand up, step forward, claim your promise, and watch the life you dreamed of rise up before your eyes. Because promises are not just words, they are the pathway to your destiny. And today, it's your turn to walk that path with unstoppable determination. A promise is one of the most powerful forces you can ever make in your life. It's not just a casual statement or a fleeting thought. It is a declaration, a commitment that carries weight and energy that moves through every decision you make, every action you take, and every choice you face. When you make a promise, you are planting a seed in your own life, and that seed has the potential to grow into something enormous, something transformative, something that shapes not only your destiny, but the lives of everyone you touch. The power of a promise is often underestimated because it is invisible in its earliest form. You cannot see it, you cannot touch it, but you can feel it. You can feel it in your chest when you say to yourself, I will change, I will grow. I will become the person I know I am capable of being. That feeling, that surge of energy, is the beginning of a promise coming to life. Think about the promises you have made in your life, not the ones you made to others, though those are important, but the ones you made to yourself. There was a moment when you looked in the mirror or sat alone in a quiet space and decided, I will do better. I will rise above my circumstances. I will not allow fear, doubt, or the opinions of others to dictate my path. That moment, however brief, carries enormous power. That is the seed of transformation. That is the moment when your life can change forever. A promise is a contract between who you are today and who you are meant to become. It is a statement of intention. But more than that, it is a declaration of responsibility. You are taking ownership of your own potential, your own destiny, and saying, I will not leave this life unfulfilled. I will not settle for mediocrity. I will pursue greatness with everything I have. The power of a promise lies not in the words themselves, but in the energy behind them. Words alone are meaningless if they are not paired with belief, with commitment, with action. You can say, I promise to change, but if your actions do not reflect that promise, it is nothing more than sound. It is empty noise. The moment you infuse that promise with energy, with conviction, with the certainty that you will not allow anything to stop you, is the moment the promise becomes real. Every time you honor that promise, every time you take a step forward, even when it is difficult, even when it feels uncomfortable, you reinforce it. You give it strength, you breathe life into it. And every time you let it slip, every time you ignore it, every time you let fear or doubt take the wheel, the promise weakens and the energy of your potential is squandered. Promises also create accountability. They are not just a whisper in your mind, they are a challenge to yourself. They say, this is who you are. This is what you will become. Nothing less is acceptable. And that is what makes them so powerful. When you hold yourself accountable to a promise, you stop looking for excuses, you stop blaming circumstances, and you stop waiting for the perfect moment. The promise demands action. It demands courage. It demands that you step into the discomfort of growth, the uncertainty of change, and the relentless pursuit of your goals. Every great achievement in history began with a promise. Someone, somewhere, made a commitment to themselves that they would not settle for less than their potential. They promised themselves that they would rise, that they would endure, that they would persist. That promise was the spark that ignited the fire of their journey. And the power of that promise did not reside in grand gestures alone. It lived in the small, consistent decisions they made every day. It lived in the discipline to show up when it was easier to quit, the courage to act when fear wanted to stop them, the resilience to continue when failure seemed overwhelming. A promise is not about avoiding mistakes. It is about creating a standard, a personal benchmark that guides your life through every challenge and every opportunity. The power of a promise also lies in its ability to transform identity. When you make a promise, you are telling yourself a story about who you are and who you are becoming. You are choosing a path and stepping onto it with intention. And as you honor that promise, even in small ways, you start to embody the person you want to be. Your identity begins to shift. Your confidence grows. Your energy changes. You no longer act like someone who hopes for a better life. You act like someone who commands it, someone who is fully responsible for the reality they are creating. A promise creates a framework for personal growth, for transformation, for becoming the best version of yourself. It is also important to understand that the power of a promise is amplified when it is shared with purpose. When you commit to your own growth, when you honor your word, you not only change your life, but you inspire others to do the same. The energy of a promise is contagious. It spreads through your actions, your presence, your attitude, and your determination. People notice when someone keeps their word, when someone refuses to settle, when someone lives in alignment with their values and their commitments. A single promise made with intention and energy can create ripples far beyond your own life, affecting relationships, communities, and even generations. However, the power of a promise is not without challenge. Every promise will be tested. Life will throw obstacles, distractions, and doubts in your path. Fear will whisper that you cannot do it. Doubt will tell you that you are not enough. Circumstances will tempt you to abandon your commitment. And in those moments, the true power of a promise is revealed. It is not in the ease of keeping it, but in the courage to stand firm when it is hard. It is in the decision to rise, to act, and to persist despite uncertainty and discomfort. That is where transformation happens. That is where your potential comes alive. A promise is also a reminder of the importance of self-trust. When you honor your promises, you build trust with yourself. You show yourself that you are reliable, capable, and committed. That trust becomes the foundation for everything else in your life. When you trust yourself, you take bigger risks, pursue bigger goals, and embrace greater challenges. You start to see that you are not limited by fear, by past failures, or by the opinions of others. You are defined by your willingness to act, to persist, and to honor the commitments you make to yourself. Promises are living energy. They grow when you feed them with action, discipline, and courage. They shrink when you neglect them or let doubt take over. They are a measure of your potential, a reflection of your character, and a blueprint for your destiny. And when you make a promise and keep it, when you align your life with the commitments you have made, you step into a level of personal power that is unstoppable. You create momentum, you create clarity, and you create a life that is fully aligned with who you were meant to be. Every morning, every decision, every action is an opportunity to honor the promises you have made. It does not matter how small the step, how simple the gesture, or how ordinary the day may seem. What matters is consistency, commitment, and the unyielding determination to live in alignment with your word. The power of a promise is not measured in grand victories alone, but in the small choices that add up over time, in the persistence that carries you forward, even when the world seems heavy, in the courage to keep showing up when no one is watching, and in the unwavering belief that your word is your bond with your own potential. Persistence over perfection is the secret that separates those who achieve greatness from those who settle for mediocrity. Too often, people wait for the perfect moment or the perfect conditions to act, believing that only under flawless circumstances will success be possible. But the truth is that perfection is an illusion. Life is messy, unpredictable, and often unfair. Waiting for perfection is a trap, a way to justify inaction, a way to avoid the discomfort that comes with growth. Persistence, on the other hand, is real, tangible, and available to anyone willing to commit. Persistence does not require flawless conditions. It requires consistent effort, unwavering determination, and the courage to continue even when failure seems inevitable. Think about the times in your life when you truly achieved something meaningful. Were those moments perfect? Were the conditions ideal? Most likely not. Most likely, there were challenges, setbacks, and obstacles that seemed insurmountable at the time. Yet, what made the difference was persistence, the ability to keep moving forward even when everything inside you wanted to quit. Persistence is the fuel that transforms dreams into reality. It is what separates those who give up from those who rise, time and time again, until their vision becomes undeniable. Perfection often paralyzes people because it sets an impossible standard. People hesitate to start projects, pursue opportunities, or take risks because they fear making mistakes. They believe that if they cannot do it flawlessly, it is better not to do it at all. But perfection is not required for success. Persistence is. Every great achievement is built on a foundation of trial and error, of learning from failure, and of refusing to quit. Each step forward, no matter how small, is progress. Each mistake, each setback is a lesson that brings you closer to the result you seek. To be persistent is to embrace the process, to value progress over polish, and to recognize that momentum is more important than flawlessness. Persistence is not just about effort. It is about mindset. It is the belief that no matter what happens, you will continue to move forward. It is the understanding that challenges are temporary, that failure is not final, and that every obstacle is an opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more capable. When you adopt persistence as a principle in your life, you stop being a victim of circumstance. You stop waiting for permission or validation. You stop letting fear dictate your actions. Instead, you take responsibility for your journey and you commit to keep moving forward no matter how difficult the path becomes. Consider the people who have changed the world, the innovators, the leaders, the champions. Did they succeed because everything went perfectly? Absolutely not. They succeeded because they refused to quit. They persisted in the face of criticism, doubt, and failure. They understood that perfection is an unrealistic standard and that progress is the only true measure of success. They kept going when others stopped, acted when others hesitated, and believed in their vision when others questioned it. That is the power of persistence. It is a force that cannot be stopped, a momentum that carries you past fear, past doubt, and past the limitations you once believed were permanent. Persistence also builds resilience. Every time you face a setback and continue anyway, you grow stronger. Every time you encounter resistance and keep pushing, you develop the mental and emotional muscles required for long-term success. Resilience is not something you are born with. It is something you cultivate through persistent effort. The more you practice persistence, the more capable you become of navigating life's inevitable challenges. The more you persist, the less fear and doubt control your decisions. You begin to trust yourself, your abilities, and your capacity to overcome obstacles that once seemed impossible. Persistence over perfection also teaches you patience. The world rewards those who are willing to endure, to work consistently, and to embrace the journey rather than expect instant results. Success is rarely immediate. It is the accumulation of small, persistent actions over time. Each day you show up, each decision you make, each effort you put forth compounds. It builds momentum, creates opportunities, and shapes your future in ways that perfection-focused thinking cannot. Those who wait for perfection often miss the chance to act at all, while those who persist take imperfect action that leads to extraordinary results. Another critical element of persistence is self-discipline. It is easy to be motivated for a day, a week, or a month. Motivation is fleeting, emotions fluctuate, and enthusiasm can fade. Persistence requires a deeper level of commitment. It demands that you act, even when you do not feel like it, even when energy is low, and even when obstacles seem overwhelming. It is a choice to keep showing up, to keep moving forward, and to refuse to let temporary discomfort dictate your long-term outcomes. Self-discipline is the backbone of persistence. It ensures that your actions are consistent, focused, and aligned with the goals you have set for yourself, regardless of the challenges along the way. Persistence over perfection also transforms failure into feedback. When you stop chasing perfection, you stop fearing mistakes. You begin to see setbacks as opportunities to learn, adapt, and improve. Each failure provides valuable information about what works and what doesn't. It is a guide that shows you where to adjust your approach, refine your strategy, and grow stronger. People who cling to perfection often see failure as a reflection of their worth or ability, while those who embrace persistence see failure as a necessary part of the journey, a stepping stone that brings them closer to their vision. The power of persistence lies in its cumulative effect. Small, consistent actions create momentum. Repeated effort leads to mastery. Daily persistence compounds into extraordinary results. Every time you choose persistence over perfection, you reinforce your belief in your abilities, your vision, and your potential. You demonstrate to yourself that nothing, not fear, not doubt, not setbacks can stop you when you refuse to quit. And as that momentum builds, the world begins to respond. Opportunities appear, challenges become surmountable, and your life begins to align with the consistent effort you have invested. Persistence over perfection also inspires others. When people see someone committed to their path, someone who continues to move forward despite obstacles and setbacks, it creates a ripple effect. It encourages others to take action, to believe in their own potential, and to persist through their own challenges. Your persistence becomes a beacon of possibility, proof that greatness is not reserved for the flawless, but for the determined, the resilient, and the committed. To fully embrace persistence, you must be willing to act decisively. You must make a commitment to take the next step, to show up today, and to refuse to be paralyzed by fear, doubt, or the need for perfection. Each action you take, no matter how small, is a declaration that you will not be stopped by circumstances, by setbacks, or by uncertainty. Each step forward strengthens your resolve, builds momentum, and brings you closer to the life you desire. Persistence is not passive. It is active. It requires energy, focus, and relentless determination. The ultimate lesson of persistence over perfection is that progress matters more than polish, action matters more than intentions, and determination matters more than flawless execution. Those who embrace persistence understand that life will never be perfect, that circumstances will never be ideal, and that fear and doubt will always be present. Yet they move forward anyway, they act anyway, and they refuse to quit. They understand that greatness is achieved not through perfection, but through persistent, consistent effort applied over time, and that every step forward, no matter how imperfect, brings them closer to the extraordinary life they are capable of creating. Action over words is the defining principle that separates dreamers from achievers. Words can inspire, they can motivate, and they can express vision, but words alone do nothing to change your life. You can speak about your dreams, you can write about your goals, you can post them on social media, you can talk to your friends about how determined you are, and yet none of that creates transformation unless it is followed by action. Action is the bridge between possibility and reality. It is the vehicle that takes you from thinking to doing, from hoping to achieving, from planning to creating. Every accomplishment, every breakthrough, every extraordinary result in human history exists because someone decided that words were not enough and that it was time to act. Think about your own life for a moment. How many times have you said, "I'm going to do this," only to let days, weeks, or months pass without taking meaningful steps? How many times have you imagined the life you want, dreamed of the success you deserve, and envisioned the person you want to become, but never move forward? Words give comfort. They give a sense of progress that is often illusory. They make you feel good in the moment, but the reality of your life does not change. The only thing that creates real impact is action, and consistent action applied with focus, energy, and courage. Action is a commitment. When you act, you are telling yourself and the world that your dreams are not optional, that your goals are not abstract ideas, and that your potential is worth pursuing with everything you have. Words can be cheap, they cost nothing. Action costs energy, time, focus, and courage. It demands that you step out of your comfort zone, face uncertainty, and take responsibility for the outcomes of your choices. Action is the proof of intention. It validates your words, giving them weight, meaning, and momentum. Without action, words remain empty, like seeds that are never planted and therefore never grow. Action over words also creates momentum. When you begin to act, even imperfectly, the universe responds, opportunities appear, doors open, and the energy of your commitment attracts resources, support, and alignment. Momentum is one of the most powerful forces in personal development. Once you take the first step, the second becomes easier, and the third builds upon it. Every action reinforces your confidence and strengthens your resolve. Words may inspire you, but action propels you forward, turning your dreams from abstract concepts into tangible results. The challenge is that action requires courage. Words are safe. It is easy to talk about what you will do tomorrow, next week, or next year. Action requires vulnerability. It requires stepping into the unknown, risking failure, and embracing the discomfort of growth. Most people avoid action because it exposes them to the possibility of criticism, judgment, or setbacks. But the truth is that growth, success, and transformation exist only on the other side of action. If you want a life that is extraordinary, If you want results that are remarkable, if you want to become someone who inspires and influences, you must act. You must show up, you must move, and you must do what others are unwilling to do. Action over words also builds credibility. People notice those who act. They see commitment in the decisions you make, in the follow-through you demonstrate, and in the consistency of your efforts. Words without action erode trust and create doubt, while action reinforces character, integrity, and reliability. When you take action, you send a clear message that you are serious, that you are capable, and that you are willing to do what it takes to create the life you envision. Action communicates louder than words ever could because it produces results that cannot be ignored. Action is also the antidote to fear. Fear often paralyzes people because it exists in the realm of thought and possibility. The more you analyze, worry, or talk about your goals, the more fear grows. Action breaks that cycle. The moment you move, the moment you take a step forward, fear loses its power. Action teaches you that you are capable, that obstacles can be overcome, and that challenges are temporary. It transforms uncertainty into clarity, hesitation into momentum, and doubt into confidence. Every step you take reinforces your ability to act again and again, creating a cycle of growth that compounds over time. Action over words also demands accountability. When you act, you own the results. You can no longer blame circumstances, luck, or other people for your outcomes. Every success and every failure is a reflection of your commitment, your effort, and your decisions. Accountability is empowering because it shifts the responsibility from external forces to your own hands. It reminds you that you are the author of your own life, the captain of your own ship, and the architect of your destiny. The more action you take, the more empowered you become to shape your reality, overcome obstacles, and achieve your vision. Another aspect of action over words is learning through doing. Knowledge alone is not enough. Inspiration alone is not enough. Planning alone is not enough. Transformation occurs when you combine knowledge with execution. Action provides feedback, experience, and insight that cannot be gained through theory or discussion alone. Every action, whether it results in success or failure, teaches you something invaluable. It reveals what works, what doesn't, and what adjustments are necessary. Action is the laboratory in which your dreams are tested, refined, and ultimately realized. Consistency is critical when it comes to action. One act may create a spark, but consistent action creates results. It is the repetition, the persistence, and the deliberate effort that turn ordinary efforts into extraordinary achievements. Momentum grows exponentially when action becomes a habit, a daily practice, a lifestyle. Those who act consistently, even imperfectly, eventually surpass those who wait for the perfect strategy, perfect timing, or perfect conditions. Action does not wait. It moves forward regardless of circumstance, and it rewards those who embrace it relentlessly. Action over words also inspires others to act. People are drawn to those who lead by example, who demonstrate commitment through deeds, and who turn intention into results. Your actions set the standard for those around you. They create energy, influence, and momentum that ripple outward. Words can motivate for a moment, but action motivates through demonstration. People see what is possible when someone refuses to remain passive, and they are encouraged to take steps in their own lives. Action is contagious because it creates visible proof that dreams can be realized and potential can be unleashed. To embrace action over words fully, you must prioritize execution over planning, doing over discussing, and moving over hesitating. Every moment is an opportunity to take action, to make progress, and to create results. Small steps taken consistently lead to extraordinary outcomes. Imperfect action is always more valuable than perfect inaction. The courage to act, even when uncertain, imperfect, or afraid, is what separates those who succeed from those who merely talk about success. Action transforms vision into reality, intention into accomplishment, and potential into performance. The ultimate lesson of action over words is that your life is created by what you do, not what you say. Words are only as powerful as the action that follows them. The person you become, the success you achieve, and the impact you make in the world are determined by the actions you take consistently, courageously, and deliberately. Words may inspire you to start, but action carries you across the finish line. Action is where your potential meets reality, where dreams are realized, and where the extraordinary life you imagine begins to take shape in the real world. Struggle is not something to avoid, it is something to embrace. It is not a sign that you are failing, but a signal that you are alive, growing, and moving forward. Every person who has ever achieved greatness has faced struggle, and every person who has avoided struggle has limited themselves. Life is designed to challenge you, to test your limits, and to push you beyond what you thought was possible. Struggle is the furnace in which strength, character, and resilience are forged. It is not comfortable, it is not easy, but it is necessary. The moment you stop resisting struggle and begin to embrace it, you unlock the power to transform your life in ways you never imagined. Think about the times you have faced difficulty in your own life. Maybe it was a financial setback, a personal loss, a failure at work, or a relationship that tested your patience and courage. Those moments were painful, yes, but they were also opportunities. Struggle forces you to look inside yourself, to confront your fears, and to discover strengths you didn't know you had. It strips away complacency and demands that you grow, adapt, and evolve. When you embrace struggle instead of resisting it, you begin to see that every challenge carries within it a lesson, a hidden gift, and a chance to rise stronger than before. Struggle builds resilience. Every time you face an obstacle and continue anyway, every time you experience discomfort and still move forward, you are training yourself to withstand the pressures of life. Resilience is not innate. It is developed through experience, through trial, and through perseverance in the face of difficulty. The stronger your ability to endure struggle, the more capable you become of handling greater challenges. Life will never be without adversity, but the way you respond to it determines the trajectory of your journey. Embracing struggle transforms adversity from something to fear into something to leverage, something that strengthens your resolve and sharpens your focus. Struggle also teaches humility and patience. It reminds you that success is not instantaneous, that mastery takes time, and that growth often comes in small, incremental steps. When you face resistance, delays, or failure, it is easy to become frustrated, to lose confidence, or to give up. But those who embrace struggle understand that progress is often invisible at first. They understand that the discomfort they experience is a sign that change is occurring beneath the surface, that skills are developing, and that their capacity for achievement is expanding. Struggle is not a punishment. It is a signal that you are moving in the right direction, that growth is happening even if it is not immediately visible. Every great achievement is born from struggle. The most successful people in history did not reach their goals because the path was easy or the world was fair. They succeeded because they faced immense challenges and refused to quit. They understood that struggle was part of the process, part of the journey that separates those who achieve from those who dream. Struggle demands action. It demands creativity, courage, and determination. It forces you to rise above limitations, to think differently, and to develop the mental toughness required to overcome obstacles that would stop most people in their tracks. Embracing struggle also teaches you to value progress over comfort. The human mind naturally seeks ease and convenience, but growth occurs outside of comfort zones. Every challenge, every setback, and every hardship is an opportunity to stretch beyond what is familiar, to expand your capabilities, and to discover potential that has been waiting to be unleashed. When you choose to lean into struggle instead of avoiding it, you begin to see discomfort as a necessary part of the journey rather than a signal to retreat. You begin to redefine your limits and recognize that your capacity is far greater than you imagined. Struggle refines character. When life tests you, it reveals who you truly are. It exposes weaknesses, uncovers hidden strengths, and teaches lessons that cannot be learned in comfort or ease. Struggle is the mirror that reflects your determination, integrity, and courage. It forces you to make choices, to take responsibility, and to commit fully to your vision. The person who embraces struggle does not shy away from difficulty or blame circumstances for setbacks. Instead, they take ownership of their journey, use struggle as a teacher, and allow challenges to shape them into someone stronger, wiser, and more capable. Struggle also creates gratitude and perspective. When you overcome difficulty, when you persevere through pain and uncertainty, you gain a deeper appreciation for the moments of ease and success that follow. You begin to understand that life is not meant to be smooth at every turn, that value comes from effort, and that the rewards of persistence are magnified by the trials endured along the way. Every struggle you face builds a foundation for future achievements, creating a mindset that is resilient, adaptable, and deeply rooted in experience. Struggle encourages creativity and innovation. When the path is blocked, when the usual strategies fail, struggle forces you to think differently, to problem solve, and to explore options you would not have considered otherwise. Many breakthroughs, inventions, and creative solutions arise not from ease, but from necessity. Struggle challenges you to tap into resources you didn't know you had, to access inner strength, and to develop new skills that prepare you for future challenges. By embracing struggle, you transform obstacles into opportunities and turn limitations into catalysts for growth. Another aspect of embracing struggle is the cultivation of courage. Every time you face fear, uncertainty, or difficulty and continue forward, you strengthen your courage. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is action in the presence of fear. Struggle provides the circumstances in which courage can flourish. Each challenge you overcome, each moment of discomfort you endure, and each risk you take in the face of adversity builds your capacity to handle greater challenges in the future. Courage is a muscle and struggle is the weight that strengthens it. Struggle also deepens empathy and connection. When you experience hardship, you understand the struggles of others more deeply. You become more compassionate, more patient, and more capable of supporting those around you. Personal growth through struggle is not isolated. It creates a ripple effect, influencing relationships, communities, and environments. The lessons you learn, the resilience you build, and the strength you develop are not just for yourself. They equip you to lift others, to inspire, and to lead by example. Finally, embracing struggle transforms your relationship with life itself. Instead of fearing challenges, avoiding discomfort, or resenting setbacks, you begin to see life as a series of opportunities to grow, to learn, and to prove your potential. Struggle becomes a partner, not an enemy. It teaches, strengthens, and guides you. It provides the raw material for transformation, the conditions for greatness, and the pathway to fulfillment. Those who embrace struggle understand that true success, joy, and achievement are never handed to anyone. They are forged through effort, resilience, and the willingness to persist through the inevitable difficulties that life presents. Unleashing your potential is not a distant dream or an abstract concept. It is a choice, a decision, and a commitment to live fully, to act boldly, and to step into the life you were meant to create. Every person has untapped reserves of talent, strength, and creativity that lie dormant until they are awakened through deliberate action and relentless belief. Potential is not measured by what you have accomplished so far, nor is it determined by your circumstances, your past, or the obstacles you face. Your potential is limitless because it exists in the possibilities of who you can become when you refuse to settle, when you push beyond limitations, and when you decide that you will no longer allow fear, doubt, or hesitation to define your life. The first step in unleashing your potential is recognizing that it already exists within you. It is not something you must acquire from the outside. It is something you must awaken from within. Too often, people look for validation, permission, or external opportunities, believing that their potential depends on circumstances beyond their control. The truth is that potential is inherent. It is your birthright. It is encoded in your abilities, your imagination, your drive, and your capacity to act. The question is not whether you have potential, but whether you are willing to unlock it, harness it, and direct it toward meaningful action. Unleashing your potential requires clarity of vision. You cannot tap into what you are capable of if you do not know where you want to go or who you want to become. Vision provides direction, focus, and purpose. It transforms scattered energy into targeted action. When you clearly define what success looks like for you, when you articulate the life you desire and the person you want to be, you create a magnetic force that draws resources, opportunities, and energy toward your goals. Potential without vision is like raw energy without a channel. It exists, but it cannot create impact. Vision is the blueprint, and action is the construction that brings it to life. Belief is the fuel that drives potential into action. You cannot unleash what you do not believe is possible. Doubt, fear, and limiting beliefs are the chains that keep potential locked away. Every extraordinary achievement in history began with someone choosing to believe in their ability, in their worth, and in the possibility of something greater than their current reality. Belief is not passive, it is active. It requires repetition, affirmation, and the courage to challenge negative thoughts and self-imposed limitations. When belief aligns with action, potential transforms into performance and dreams begin to materialize into reality. Action is the engine of potential. Thinking, planning, and visualizing are important, but without action, they are insufficient. Every step you take towards your goals, every effort you make to grow, learn, and push boundaries activates your latent abilities. Action reveals hidden strengths, uncovers untapped resources, and builds momentum. Potential is a seed, but action is the water, sunlight, and soil that allow it to grow. Without consistent action, potential remains dormant, unnoticed, and unrealized. Those who act boldly, consistently, and with purpose unlock levels of achievement that others only imagine. Unleashing your potential also requires resilience. The path to realizing your capabilities is rarely smooth or predictable. Challenges, setbacks, and failures are inevitable, but they are also essential. Each obstacle you overcome strengthens your skill, determination, and confidence. Resilience is the ability to continue moving forward despite difficulties, to adapt to changing circumstances, and to maintain faith in your vision even when results are delayed. The person who embraces resilience understands that struggle is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of growth, and that perseverance transforms potential into achievement. Growth is another critical component of unlocking potential. Potential is dynamic. It expands and evolves as you challenge yourself, acquire new skills, and push beyond your comfort zones. The more you invest in learning and self-development and in personal mastery, the more your capacity grows. Every book you read, every skill you develop, every uncomfortable conversation or bold action stretches the boundaries of what you can achieve. Growth is a multiplier for potential. It allows you to reach heights you could not have imagined if you remain stagnant, complacent, or limited by fear. Unleashing your potential also demands courage. Courage is the willingness to take risks, face uncertainty, and act despite fear. Potential is often hidden behind hesitation, insecurity, and the fear of failure. It is waiting for you to step forward and claim it. Courage is the key that unlocks the door to your capabilities. It allows you to take bold actions, challenge conventional thinking, and embrace opportunities that others shy away from. Without courage, potential remains dormant, and the extraordinary life you are capable of living stays just out of reach. Discipline is another essential factor. Potential alone is insufficient without consistent effort. Talent, intelligence, and creativity mean little if they are not applied with focus and commitment. Discipline creates structure, consistency, and follow through. It ensures that your energy, time, and resources are invested in actions that align with your vision. Discipline transforms fleeting bursts of motivation into sustainable progress and guarantees that your potential is not wasted, but cultivated into real, measurable achievement. Self-awareness is crucial in unleashing your potential. Understanding your strengths, weaknesses, values, and motivations allows you to channel your energy effectively. It provides insight into where you should focus your efforts, which opportunities align with your abilities, and which habits or patterns may be limiting your growth. Potential is not just about doing more, it is about doing what matters most and directing your capabilities toward outcomes that create maximum impact. The more you know yourself, the more strategically you can unleash the power within you. Influence and connection also amplify potential. Surrounding yourself with people who challenge, inspire, and support you accelerates growth. Potential thrives in environments that encourage learning, innovation, and accountability. Mentors, peers, and collaborators can provide perspective, feedback, and opportunities that unlock new levels of performance. While your potential exists within you, its full expression is often catalyzed by the energy, ideas, and encouragement of those around you. Unleashing potential is ultimately about contribution. True fulfillment comes when your abilities, talents, and energy are applied towards something greater than yourself. When you align your personal growth with a purpose that impacts others, your potential expands exponentially. Contribution gives direction and meaning to your efforts, transforming personal achievement into lasting influence and creating a legacy that extends beyond your immediate life. The act of using your abilities to elevate others and make a difference magnifies the significance of your potential and multiplies the impact of every action you take. The process of unleashing your potential is continuous. There is no final destination, no ultimate peak. It is a journey of constant growth, discovery, and expansion. Every milestone achieved opens the door to new possibilities. Every challenge overcome raises the bar for what you can accomplish next. Potential is a living, evolving force, and those who dedicate themselves to its realization never stop learning, never stop growing, and never stop striving to become the fullest version of themselves. Unleashing your potential begins with the decision to no longer settle, to no longer limit yourself, and to refuse to let fear, doubt, or circumstance dictate your life. It begins with commitment, belief, and action, and it is reinforced through resilience, growth, discipline, and courage. It is fueled by vision, clarified by self-awareness, amplified by connection, and fulfilled through contribution. Each choice, each effort, each step forward is an activation of the immense power that exists within you. The potential you possess is not theoretical. It is real, tangible, and ready to be expressed. Every moment you delay, every excuse you accept, and every fear you give power to is an opportunity missed. The act of stepping forward, committing fully, and taking bold action unleashes energy, capability, and momentum that propels you toward extraordinary achievement